Millions are at risk of losing their health insurance again as a federal appeals court in New Orleans will convene today to hear arguments that seek to repeal or invalidate Obamacare. NBC's Morgan Chesky is in New Orleans. Morgan, the healthcare laws created a deeper divide among red and blue states. Let's talk about everything at stake here in today's hearing. I know that's a lot.
Allison, no, I mean, basically you have the future of American healthcare policy being discussed right here in the heart of downtown New Orleans today. Those arguments just wrapped up within the past few minutes, and a representative for those Republican states is speaking to reporters now. And the thing you'll hear from both sides today is they felt as if their case was made to this three-judge panel. Now, it's important to note of that three-judge panel, two of those judges have been appointed by Republican presidents. So this has a history of being a very conservative court here in this case, and they've already set precedent with that with past issues. Now, as it stands today, the individual mandate was one of the key sticking points. That was that penalty or tax, rather, that was provided with the Affordable Care Act. Now, that was being said that it was removed back in 2017 by a Republican-led Congress, and as a result, that penalty went away. The Democratic states, meanwhile, say that without that penalty, they would like for the Affordable Care Act to continue on in its current state. Meanwhile, the other group of states say that's simply unconstitutional. With no penalty in place, you have to strike down the entire Affordable Care Act. This was such an impassioned plea from both sides that judges, in fact, gave 15 minutes of extra time cumulatively for each of these teams to state their case. I had a chance before, as the line was forming outside the courthouse, to talk to three students who wanted to hear, for the first time ever, a discussion of this level being played out in an open courtroom. These students told me today that they believe that health care is a right that every American should have. In fact, one of them was a healthcare administration major, and what's being discussed in this room today could very well likely impact his career going forth. They say that not only do they want the Affordable Care Act to remain in its current state, but they would be comfortable if another presidential candidate or a Congress came along to strike down that private option entirely. Now, as it stands right now, after both sides gave their case to this three-judge panel, it could take several weeks, potentially even longer, before that decision's made. However, when it is, we are expecting, since this is a conservative court, that they will rule with the side of the Texas judge who initially called the ACA unconstitutional, and that will mean a likely appeal to our nation's highest court, the Supreme Court, who can then choose whether or not they want to listen to this or not at all, since they've already ruled in the past that the Affordable Care Act is indeed constitutional. So a lot of moving parts here today, Allison, but both sides stating their case and feeling like they got their points across to these three judges. Allison?
All right, Morgan, thank you so much for breaking all that down for us.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.